we're going to tell you why and what we did. It was like, and it was an adventure for sure. Saskatchewan is big, okay? It's 250,000 square miles, okay, compared to Ohio, which is 44,000 miles. It's way bigger. The total population of Saskatchewan is 1.1 million, you know, and compared to Ohio, they have 11 million. So it's totally different. The Regina is the provincial capital of Saskatchewan, and it has like 215,000, which is kind of tiny, and that's the second largest city in the whole province. And the footprint of Regina is 10 miles by 7 miles. So we're from Detroit. It was like so cool to be in such a little tiny town. And then you drive out 15 minutes and you're in a prairie and it's flat as a pancake. I don't know if you guys been to Regina. And the joke is there, you can watch your dog run away from home for 3 days. It's like, it's different. And in Michigan, it's like you drive 70 miles and you're still in the city. But so it was fun for us. Tremendously large population of immigrants. They had basically open border, and everybody there is trying to get a job working for the government, and they're trying to get their citizenship papers. But there's Pakistanis, Nigerians, Filipinos, Sikhs, Indians, all kind of people there. The winter is extremely cold. We were blessed to be in one of the coldest winters they've had in decades. My dad grew up there, and he would always talk about how cold it was. But now I got something on him. On like February 17th, they had a record low of minus 45 Fahrenheit. That's cold. And we never even left the house. But that record was set in 1903. So my dad was born in 1913. So I was there when it was colder than he was ever there at. But the coldest, it was there when I had to take her to the airport. She was going to fly to Phoenix for a couple of days. It was 33 below zero. And the car really didn't want to get out of first gear. It's really different. And when you pull up to like an intersection, it was like a fog, because the exhaust from the cars just started fogging up everything. It's different. But it was tremendous. The people are loving. And one of the things about Regina, has the lowest prices of homes in all of Canada, you know. So there's a possibility people will be moving there from like Toronto, where new families can't buy houses. So we were talking with the elders in that area. That's why they want to keep the church, because that's a place where people that would like to buy a house can go actually still buy one. And for us, the U.S. dollar is worth $1.40 Canadian. So we were able to get like an Airbnb for under $1,000 a month, you know, which is really good. So that was our plan. So I'll start. That's the overview of like what Regina, Saskatchewan is.
So all of this, the idea to go and the going was all a very short timeline. And everything happened real fast. And our church was very excited about our mission. And I wasn't sure if it was because they were getting rid of us for 6 months or they were excited about our mission. Anyway, whatever it was, they were very excited. And they actually had a special prayer service for us. We went up, knelt down, and they prayed over us. And we're thinking, oh, wow, the pressure. Now everyone's going to be looking, you know. Anyway, so it was very tender. You know, we've been there for decades, and it was just very tender that everybody, you know, and they missed us, and we missed them. We were there about a month, and we got a care package. And everybody, you know how you get the little drawings from the Sunday school children, you know. We laughed, and we cried, and we laughed, and we cried. It was amazing. A lot of support from them. Anyway, in Regina, there are only two brothers, and one has Alzheimer's so bad he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
Two sisters in Regina, another sister who lives 4 hours north of Regina, so they're not in the picture at all most of the year because the weather's so bad. Our average attendance with Jeffrey and I, when it was warm, it was 11, and when it was cold, it was 8.
Yeah.
We met in a room at a community center because they had sold their church years ago. They just want to be together. These people just want to be together, you know. Little bitty, but they just want to be together. So we would have, they love to sing. There's just, you know, so few, and you still couldn't hear. I couldn't hear myself sing. It was awesome. Not that I sing awful, but anyway, whatever. And one of the young boys, 14, he played the guitar for us. So he did good, but Steve and Ruth Kreisen were there for 6 years previous to us, and they had to go back for family, you know, needs. And Steve played the guitar amazingly well and sang amazingly well. Well, our young man, he could play the guitar very well, and he knew when to start, but he didn't know the note to start, so that was a little rough sometimes. Anyway, Steve recorded all the songs for us. They have a notebook of songs, so we would start with Steve, both guitars going, got the beginning note, and then we could proceed without Steve. Anyway, did that, and then we would have announcements. What was going on, I don't know. Anyway, and greetings, very important greetings. Oh my goodness. We would watch Zoom, our Beverly Hills on Wednesdays, you know. Greetings from Beverly Hills like it was new every week. Oh, thank you. Extend our greetings. Okay, so the next Wednesday we did the same thing. Anyway, very exciting for them that people were thinking of them. We watched a sermon. That's what they did previous to us going, and they asked that we continue it that way. We would then have a little prayer meeting, and Sister Julie Hrutka would bake every week. Of course, it's not an AC meeting without eating. And so after our meeting was all over, we would just sit like little kids waiting for our snack. She'd get it out, you know, and then that would be the official closing of our meeting, you know, we had to eat. Friday nights, they had Bible studies before we got there, so we continued. It was at Sister Julie's house. It ended up being Jeffrey and myself and Sister Julie with Steve on the recording, so we would sing for a while, and then we would have our Bible study. We had, in September, we went in August, just last August, and in September, Sister Jan Sheets from Portland and Sister Evelyn Sabo from Edmonton and her sister came for a long weekend to visit us, and so they were very excited about that. In October, our son Brandon and his wife Melissa and their 2 young children drove the 20 hours and stayed for a long weekend. They had their little one, Adeline, was 6 months old, and you know, it was almost like stand in line to hold the baby. You know, I don't think anyone listened to the sermon. Anyway, hold the baby. And then also in October for their Canadian Thanksgiving, George and Nada, I think, Nitz from Kitchener came. They have some children in Regina, and they came, so that was awesome for us and for them.
Okay, in serving the church, our spiritual direction or directive that we used was part of Revelations 3:2. It just says, watchful and strengthen the things which remain. So that is exactly what we felt was in our heart to go do. Strengthen that remain, because there wasn't much there. So we try to serve them with all the love and the talent that we had, and probably had way more love than talent. And I did ask Brother Steve if they would like me to preach, you know, and he checked with them, and they didn't. So they wanted to continue this service. So I would spend, like that was part of my week, watching 2 or 3 or 4 sermons from Mansfield, from Kitchener, from Windsor, from Beverly Hills, and pick something that's appropriate for that, you know. So I did that, and that was how we got that. And then I prepared, like, for 2 Bible studies, one for Sunday morning, and then I had one Friday night. So I was busy doing that kind of stuff during the week. And twice we visited Vasile and Sister Radhika up in Prince Albert with Deborah. It's about 4 hours north. We went in the fall, which was okay. Then we went in winter. And God was merciful on us because we would leave. We had to wait. Well, we had to get there after Radhika got home from work. So we would leave in the afternoon, go for 4 hours. And when we went, the roads it's winter. So the roads are half ice, half not ice. But the storm came in behind us, closed the highway down totally. So when we got there, the road was closed. We couldn't go back if we wanted to, but we had to leave the next day by noon to get home so we could have church services on Sunday. And the Lord just opened the roads. It was closed till about 10:30, and then it was cleared, and then we could go home. But it's still winter roads, and being from Michigan, it's no big deal. You know, it's half ice, half pavement. That's good enough. You know, you just don't go fast. So we were really blessed in that kind of stuff. So we did that twice. Now, evangelistic efforts, we tried. Well, we did try. I made business cards. These guys, okay, little business cards to pass out to invite people. And we got about 100 of them and talked about it with the church. And they took most of them, and because they wanted to pass them out. And we did that, and because I met a pastor of a Baptist church in Detroit, and he told me that he was transferred for that church from a bigger church, and they had 16 members. And he said in 6 months, he increased the size of his church by passing 250 of these out a week, you know, to 60 plus. So there's a chance. But I didn't understand what effort and prayer goes into passing out 250 of these a week. You know, if you
Didn't
have,
happen. Well, we only had 100, so.
but it's like then you get an appreciation what that effort is to do something like that. How many people are you going to even talk to and meet? So that was one of the things. We bought a small New Testament, King James versions, at a local store for $1.50. And I did this a lot in Detroit. I put like a $5 bill in it and give it to a homeless person. So the first guy I give it to, he's standing with a sign in the middle of the intersection. He comes up, pulls out the $5, put in his pocket, give me back his Bible, says, "I'm an atheist, I don't want this." It was like, well, that kind of, then I try to do it, because I've been passing out Bibles for a long time. I've been doing this for years in Detroit, and it works great. People really appreciate them. Over there, I went to the, like a neighborhood distribution center where they give free clothes and free food, and people walk in and out. So I'm sitting on a bench outside. You know how I passed out? 0. It's like, you got to be kidding me. They were mostly Muslims, but it was like the culture wasn't accepting, you know, the Bibles at all anymore. It was strange for me. I felt different. And another thing, I didn't plan on talking about it. The neighbors where the parking was terrible, they would shake their fist at me because I parked in front of their house and stuff like that. I felt like I was being attacked, and I probably slowed down my thinking about going out and doing stuff with the neighborhood, because they came and knocked on my door and told me to move my car. It was in front of their house, so it became different. You know, I just didn't feel like I was being blessed on this, but that's why I started with our directive was to strengthen that which remains, because that's what we were able to do, I think, pretty good. Okay. Then there was this little Vietnamese woman, Van. She owned a confectionery store, which is pretty much across the street, across and down the street from our Airbnb. And I stopped in and I talked to her for a couple times a week, all the time. I would see almost every day sometimes. And she told me about her son, Min, who was in a hospital with a ventilator because he had 2 heart operations, and neither of them did any good for the kid. And then, so I told them our congregation's going to pray for him. And then, like a week later, I go to talk to her, and he had been asleep for 2 days, and the doctors can't wake him up. And he's on a ventilator. He's got a trach and all that kind of stuff. This is pretty serious. So I called Beverly Hills Elder Bob Varga and asked them to pray for him. And then he prayed for him, and he started getting better. You know, he woke up. Then he would try to walk, and he would fall down, and he couldn't eat anything because that trach really tears up your throat. So he had to eat just like soft foods and stuff like that. And he was getting better. But then he couldn't. This is like it was going on, and I was praying the Lord, we need some healing. We need a brother or sister blessed with the gift of healing, because it would really make a difference. And I didn't think I had that gift. But he actually did get better. And he went home, but he was grumpy. And then he wouldn't let his mother even come see him. And so we prayed through all that, and finally, eventually did get home. And so she promised me that she's going to come to church, because I asked her to do that all the time when we came back, because we came back to Michigan for the holidays, the Christmas holidays. She says, when you come back, I'm going to your church. Did she? No. It's like, and then when I went back the last 2 times I went to see her, the store was closed. I think she sold it, and I couldn't get a hold of her. So, but we planted seeds, you know. That's all I can say, that we planted seeds, and she thanked me for the church praying for her son all the time.
Another thing we did was we went out to eat a lot, which I love. Anyway, and we've been doing this for, Jeffrey says to the waiter or waitress, we pray before we eat. Is there something we could include in our prayer for you or your family? And 99.9% is awesome. You know, the response is, oh, and you get the best service. Anyway, no, but that's not the point. Anyway, so that we continued that there, and we went to a couple places on purpose, repetitively, you know, so we could, and we gave a Bible to, you know, why are you, firstly, we'd say, oh, we're from Michigan. Well, it's winter in Regina. Like, who in their right mind goes to Regina in the winter? So it was a great opportunity to share. Oh, blah, blah, blah. So that was great. Invited them to church also, gave Bibles out to them, you know, planted seeds. So that's what we, you know, God can give the increase. You have no idea, right, where this is going to go, where that Bible is going to sit, who's going to see it. So another thing, in Beverly Hills, Wednesday before Christmas, we have carols and cookies, and everybody loves that. Singing Christmas carols and have the cookie refreshments, you know, neighbors, friends. I mean, it's a huge thing. So Jeffrey says, why don't we do that in Regina? So we didn't do it on a Wednesday, but the Sunday before we left, we says, we're going to do Christmas carols and cookies. And Brother Leo brought in his keyboard, and I pretended to play, and we sang Christmas carols. We had cookies, and then Sister Julie told us that 2 of her grandchildren and 3 of her great-grandchildren would be there. So I made goodie bags for them and put Bibles in that. So that was very successful. They were very excited about that. And Brother Leo says, oh, we never did anything for Christmas before. I says, is this okay? Too late now. But anyway, so we did that.
Okay. What inspired me to go to Regina in the first place? I think Brother Rod sent me a copy of a May 24th email. Regina was requesting that their name be removed from the foundation. What is a directory? That kind of irritated me. I tell people I got mad, but it wasn't really sadness. So I was telling my brother Michael, I was thinking of going to Regina to help out the church. He says, what's the main reason you're going? He says, I'm mad. He says, ooh, you better think about that. Probably not the right thing to do. Okay, so we readjusted here. It's more sadness. My grandfather was the minister there in 1920s and 30s. They had a big church, 150 members back there in Regina. And when he was elected as a minister, he was on a farm. He hired a person to run his farm, and he moved to the church to serve the church. He moved in the city of Regina to serve the church. Who does that? You know, and that's something I respected, you know. So we went there with that kind of thoughts and those memories, and then my great-grandfather actually did the gardens at the provincial buildings, the Capitol buildings and stuff. So, and then my uncle shoveled coal to heat the building, Parliament buildings in Regina. So it's like, we got a history here. So that's part of the reason Paul Loopser knows all this stuff. That's why you went, because all your family. Okay, so that was, but still, I didn't consider myself a preacher or anything. So God gave me two big hints. Some people say he just told me to go, but
He did, for sure.
yeah. So I do Bible studies at nursing homes. I still do one now. I started up again when I came back, and the first one was in my local, on our little island. It's a big island. It's bigger than Regina. It's 12 miles long. And it's funny. So I have Steve, he's in his 90s, and I can't tell usually if he's awake or not. When I'm doing my Bible studies, I just read the Bible to him. And I have one lady who never said anything for like 3 months, and another lady that says about 2 words in 3 months. So I get in Luke, we're in Luke, and I can't remember exact scripture, but where Jesus said, you know, if you follow me, you get these blessings, and if you don't follow me, you're condemned. It's like, Jesus, I'm praying, I can't do this. That's not me. You guys could, there's other ministers do, but these guys are 90 years old. They might be dead tomorrow. So it says, you got to really help me through this. So I'm praying. So I'm reading the scripture to him just like it's written in the King James. Oh, no, I was using the ESV. I apologize. I don't use King James for the nursing homes. We use ESV. So I'm reading. I'm not even looking up because I'm thinking this is rough. And I look up, here's Steve sitting on the edge of his chair, totally wide awake, listening to every word I'm saying. The lady who never said anything started clapping, and the other one that said 2 words, she said, that was very nice. You know, that really, I felt God like slapped me upside the head. Okay, you got it. You can do this. You know, you might not be a minister, but if you pray for me, I can do it for you. And then less than a week later, I go to is it time?
Yes. Sorry.
And I got, I'm going to take time. and I have this Catholic guy in a wheelchair, and he can't stand me because I'm not a priest, and I'm reading the Bible to all these guys. And so I go through my thing, and at the end, he holds out his hands, and I shake his hand, and he says, thank you for bringing light into our lives. Where did that come from? So I felt really strong in the spirit that I could do something like I never did before and even thought about doing.
So we went to Regina.
Yeah, so we're done.